Welcome to Technocracy News with your host, Patrick Wood. I'm your co-host, Logan House. Today, we're going to be going over, we have 250 million acre Bonanza, Technocrats' big, beautiful land grab. This is something we've been talking about for quite some time now. Next, we have ban AI regulation. Who's in charge here, Congress or AI oligarchs? And lastly, we'll have hippomalgam. Mexico is the new China. Patrick, how are you doing?
Doing great. Good stories today.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about this first one for a while, how they're going
Yes, we have.
try to, all this government-owned land that our government owns and what they're going to try to do with it, with creating a new crypto or transferring it over to private land.
Exactly. This is starting the process, apparently. This is the big, beautiful bill that's going to mandate at least maybe 2.2 million acres of sales. And beyond that, 250 or 258 million acres. Oh my gosh, that's inconceivable, the amount of land that is. But if this land is invested into this financial oligarchy that's taking over, it'll be taken out of public hands, number one, and it'll be privatized. That means they could do whatever they want to do with it. If they want to monetize it, digitize it, for instance, to create a cryptocurrency, it could all be done in private hands. And once that precedent is set for millions of acres, I might add, then the government can come in at that point to digitize the rest of the land. You see, this is going to be a big process. It's going to take multiple steps to get there in the end. I think this is what this is portraying at this point.
And so this is in the big, beautiful bill that's working its way through Capitol Hill right now, correct?
It is. Ranchers and farmers are getting the idea here. Something's really amiss with this thing.
Yeah.
And when you consider the legal hamstring that's been put on farmers and ranchers already, now you have another entity going to compete to rip that land away potentially and take it out of the control of the states and local communities as well. And so what are they going to do with that land? Well, they could build freedom cities on it, for sure. That's on the drawing board. With Trump has talked about the freedom cities, at least 10 of them across the country, from scratch cities, smart cities, I might add, maybe 15-minute cities. But there's not a good use for 2 million acres, especially when it's in remote places. That means basically this is going to be mineral extraction places, timber, oil, uranium, you name it, rich resources that can benefit the reigning oligarchy at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And like you said, he already used for their data centers. I mean, they'll have more than enough land to keep building on.
Well, exactly. And, data centers can only take up so much land, not millions of acres for sure.
Yeah. But
God help us if it's 2 million acres of data centers, we're all big trouble, right? But it's not just about that. That's part of it, I'm sure. The right to create cities from scratch, freedom cities. Mm-hmm. That's what Trump said. The right to extract resources from these lands that they've been sitting there all this time for decades. Nothing's been extracted at all. It's just off limits to Americans and industry alike. So at this point, there's going to be a massive transfer of wealth from the people. That's our land, by the way. Not that this is not the government's land per se, but the government's going to transfer it into private hands. Maybe they'll pay for it with Bitcoin, for instance. That would be a logical thing in my mind. If you want to get Bitcoin on the table for blockchain type digitization, what better way to do it is just give the government all this Bitcoin reserve. And this kind of plays into Catherine Austin Fitts' idea of pump and dump, where the price of Bitcoin is driven up and then they can offload it for land. And all of a sudden they end up with the land. The government ends up with a Bitcoin. It establishes its financial reserve based on Bitcoin. And they all live happily ever after.
Wow. And this ties in directly pretty much with the next story we have, correct?
It really does. The idea of and this is part of the big beautiful bill that it wanted to create a situation where the states would be hamstrung to create AI regulations themselves. How this got into this bill in the first place, I can't conceive who in the House of Representatives would have put this clause in. It didn't have anything to do with financial anything. There was a budget bill, for Pete's sake. It wasn't about other things like hamstringing the states. Whoever put this in, I have suspicions it might have been somebody like David Sachs, the AI czar, had no conception of the Constitution that would prevent the states from doing this in the first place. Well, it was passed to the Senate in that condition. And now the Senate has apparently run into the so-called Byrd regulation or the Byrd rule that prevents any non-budgetary item to be attached to a budget bill, right? So they rewrote the thing to harmonize it. And so now that what they've said, we're going to deny states, any state who creates their own AI regulations, we're going to deny them resources from the government, federal government, to finance AI expansion. Well, that's punishment at this point, but it satisfies the Byrd rule at that point. So, now you have this this tug of war going on in the Senate, where some senators are balking, saying you can't do that. There's no way. But others are saying no. We have to deregulate AI. We have to get rid of all the regulations and stuff, and we also have to somehow block the states from thinking that they could have a hand on AI regulation. This article is typical of what we're seeing appear in the popular press. This article was, it appeared on MSN. I think the source was Bloomberg, perhaps, but nevertheless, that's where I saw it first. You have this idea now in this article, at the very last sentence, you get the idea where this is going. AI labs would prefer no regulation. There you go. That's it. This is that's the upshot of it. But a single federal standard, in their mind, would be preferable to a hodgepodge of state laws. Well, you figure the right of the state to make their own laws is just being impinged here. But the bottom line is they don't want any regulation at all, But if it's going to be from federal standards where they can control it, they can't control the states for sure, but they can control the federal government with regulations. And now they want to block anybody else off from doing anything. But, this is so thin, in my opinion, and it's just really, really egregious. So the next...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, if this does pass, do you see any states standing up and saying, we're not going to listen, we're going to enforce regulations here, we're not going to listen to the federal government?
I can see some doing it. Arizona probably won't be one.
Yeah.
But I could see some states bucking the system. But once the government has a lever on you to deny you money, it's game over.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first they say, well, we have this amount of money set aside for you, but you're not going to get it unless you play ball with us. Don't do anything with AI. Well, that's bad enough. But who's to say at that point that they won't, nix other money that has nothing to do with AI development to the states?
Yeah,
this is a slippery slope, and at this point, the federal government has been a master of denying funds to the states and cities as well, to punish them, to get them to do what they wanted, what the federal government wants them to do. Money is a horribly powerful motivator.
Yeah, they basically control the states.
Yes.
If you threaten them to take away enough, they do basically anything they would tell
Exactly.
you to. So
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, we're up on a break. We'll be back here in just a moment.
Nature has a rhythm, a quiet strength, a way of restoring, protecting, and renewing us. Wellness isn't just about how you feel today. It's the quiet choices you make for tomorrow. At myvitamin.com/worldview, we've made daily self-care simple. Quality vitamins, daily supplements, and targeted nutrition. myvitamin.com/worldview makes it easy. Pure ingredients thoughtfully combined, tailored for your body. Formulated by a doctor who has over 25 years of medical practice experience and is a certified functional medicine provider. Visit myvitamin.com/worldview today and take the next step towards strength, balance, and resilience. Discover the wide range of med packs made for you and your loved ones. What you nurture today becomes the strength you walk in tomorrow.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisaw collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
All right, welcome back to Technocracy.news. Our last story is Pippa Malmgren says Mexico is the new China. And she's the one who, what was that? What was it that she said? I don't know when that was, a year ago or more, that was going all over the place. What was that?
Well, that was a conference that she participated in. I think it was Dubai. I think it was the World Government Summit, something like that, where she said it's all going to be about blockchain, not well. In other words, all of the currencies of the world are going to somehow blow up and be transferred into blockchain. That's a digital currency. And yes, it did blow up the internet for a while. At least from our perspective, it was a big admission. So she was a perfect one to do that because she was unknown at that point to the public, and she just seems like a nice lady. You know, she's soft spoken or whatever, and who's not to like her? You know, so she just kind of belted it out. Well, she's back again, with another. A statement just as shocking.
And she's saying this, is her motive behind saying this to help push North American Union, make people think that Mexico is so valuable for us to grab and bring into the United States?
Absolutely. You have to understand, Pippa is an American, but she's not living in America. She's been living in London for years and years. And she has ties, significant ties, to the city of London. That's the heart of the financial heart of London. It's separate from London. It's another city, the city of London. She's had extensive connections to that financial center. And so when she speaks, you have to listen to her because there's not that many people in that financial center in the first place that can speak out. She's doing it. So if she floats this idea that China is going to lose its status, if you will, as being the offshoring capital of the world in place in favor of China or Mexico rather, well, what's the motive here? If she's promoting regionalism at this point, what better way to do it than to say Mexico is the new China? And she has some compelling reasons for it. She says that Mexico has a stronger supply chain than China. And she's probably right. It has competitive costs. The cost of manufacturing in Mexico is equal to or lower than China, making it an attractive alternative to businesses looking to optimize expenses. Higher quality control, maybe. Mexico has improved its quality standards. It probably has, especially in high-value industries such as automotive, aerospace, and electronics. Geopolitical stability, well, we can amen this one for sure because the Mexico-U.S. relationship is less volatile than the U.S.-China relationship at this point. Mm-hmm. So these are kind of compelling reasons for her to say this. Nevertheless, the bottom line is in the last paragraph, I think, in this article. The article says her insights suggest that Mexico's economic trajectory will continue to strengthen, positioning itself as a dominant force in global trade. Now listen, alongside the United States, right? This shift could reshape international supply chains, investment strategies, and economic policies in the coming years. Alongside the U.S., there you go. It's not about Mexico per se. It's the combination of the Mexico and the United States that's in view here. And she did not say anything about Canada, by the way. That might be another story for sure. But getting the idea across, the floating the trial balloon, if you will, why would it be good for President Trump to enforce his idea of absorbing Mexico into some type of a trade deal or maybe a security deal where, Mexico would be wrapped into our security force net. And they've already talked about that in Canada, by the way, where there's a perimeter around the whole continent at that point. Where it would be defended as one entity, not just three separate entities.
Yeah. And then you would have a bunch of these technocrats and big businesses, not just technocrats, big businesses and corporations going down to Mexico to produce their goods instead of going to China.
Exactly. And they've already been doing that by and large.
A lot of automotive companies have been as well, right?
They have, exactly. So the Mexicans Mexico in general can provide good labor, cheap labor for those types of operations. And they've been good at it. That's all I can say. We think of Mexico as kind of a backward place, the drug cartels and the violence, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's a thing for sure. But Mexico does have significant capabilities to create manufacturing firms and staff them with good people. So, this is the whole rationale of somehow merging Mexico into the United States at this point. It would be a very big coup for Trump. I could see him doing that.
And I could see why he would want to on the economic side and the production side, where it would be attractive to him. That's kind of, I feel like, where she's kind of why she's saying this is she's trying to make it more attractive for someone like Trump.
Exactly. She's not going to bait him for sure. He's already been baited, I think. But this will give more rationalization to the policy if she says it. And for instance, if Mark Carney said it, the Premier of Canada, member of the Trilateral Commission, et cetera, if he said something like this, it would be all over the place, right? If he said that. But here you have Pippa Malmgren, by the way, her name is Philippa. It's shortened to Pippa. So, but if she says it, who cares? She's just an economist that says, she's just somebody that the globalists listen to, but she's not threatening in any way. And, she looks like a nice lady, right? But nevertheless, I think she's the perfect one to float this. This idea of the North American Union has been around for over 25 years at this point. We fought that in 2005, and 2006 with George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and the crew. They formed an alliance with Mexico and Canada. We called them the Three Amigos at that point. They wanted to usher us into a North American Union flat out. We derailed the whole thing. That was an amazing defeat for them. They all went away for a time, and then they all came back again, and it's still coming back at us. We thought it was over in 2006, but it's persisted. This idea, the globalist idea for America to be part of a regional system of governance, it just won't die, and it's still with us at this point.
Yeah, and it goes even further back than that, correct? Wasn't Elon Musk's grandfather with him being, one of the pioneers of technocracy, they were pushing for a North American Union, correct?
They were, and they never said how they're going to do that. They penciled out or pencil in Greenland, Canada, United States, all of Central America, all of Mexico, the top part of South America. How they had no plan to get those nations together. Not one word. Nevertheless, they said, well, somehow they're just going to fall into our net. I don't know what they're thinking. But it was stupid thinking on one part. They had no plan at all. But even now, there's no plan to do it either. Are you going to conquer them militarily? I don't think so. How about all the countries in Central America, for instance? They wouldn't go for that. And
you'd have to do something about the cartels.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you have to get rid of them probably, or else they're just going to try to take back control of Mexico at least.
Yeah, you wonder how much control the cartels really have in Mexico. I'm not sure at this point. We know there's a lot of corruption for sure. You see a lot of government leaders being shot, executed on the street. That gets the headlines at least. Well, are they really in charge of Mexico at the top? What about all the manufacturing facilities that they have down there? Are they subject to this type of corruption? Are they getting murdered all over the place, for instance? I don't think they are. So we see one narrative on one side, well, Mexico is really a backwards place to go. It's not safe for Americans, et cetera, right? But nevertheless, on this side, what she's saying is, oh, it's a wonderful place to put business. And, put your business down there and you'll be very happy.
Yeah, definitely confusing times. But a North American Union would make it a lot easier for a global government, correct? I mean, it'd be a lot easier to bring all the parties together.
Exactly.
Instead of having to negotiate with each of one of these countries.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, we're all out of time. We'll be back on Tuesday with another episode. No, not Tuesday. Thursday with another episode. Until then.
Time flies.
Take care.
Better science leads to better outcomes. So by understanding the science in much more intimate detail, delivering a value product that is so different from anybody else.
So when we're stepping outside into seasonal changes, low humidity, sunlight, pollution, all of these things get communicated as stress on the top layer of skin that produces free radicals, and they're bad news for collagen networks. They're going to break down the collagen network and collapse that beautiful tensile strength of your skin. And so that's how we end up with fine lines and wrinkles. Bella Grace is really an elevated formula.
Better than the competition for very obvious reasons. First of all, we're delivering great collagen. We're delivering Verisol, which is the world's most studied form of collagen. So we're starting at a foundation that's really top notch.
So here is a lady today. She's taking the elixir, arthritis in her hands. She could not close her hands and make a fist. But after now being on the elixir, now she can.
The real breakthrough discovery, particularly with the cat's claw, it's a switch that regulates genes. There's thousands of genes that are involved in that inflammation process. When you have chronic inflammation, the problem is the switch is on and it's not being turned off. And so what's happening with the cat's claw is that it removes that little protein switch off your DNA, and the genes go back to a dormant state, and you go back to being, well, really healthy.
When at first we wanted to just have an amazing collagen ingestible product to be able to set the skin up so that my wife, Christina, could come behind that with incredible skincare. And that's exactly what we're still doing. What we weren't anticipating was the magnitude and just the vast amount of benefits that this elixir was going to do for people. Testimonies started flooding back in. About probably 30% of the testimonies were about hair, skin, and nails. The others were about people being able to walk up their stairs again, people being able to open their hands in the morning without having to do heat therapy, people being able to sleep better.